Mind Darts, everyone, and here we are down at the Modus Live Lounge. We've got prime time himself, Matt Edgar. Matt, we spent a few hours talking darts, watching the action. Now we're going to sit down and talk other darts. It's good down here, isn't it?
We've summed the world up today, haven't we, of darts? So hopefully we can capture a little bit of that, so we can share some. We've spoke some pretty decent things actually. We spoke some sense. I'm not sure everyone will agree, but we certainly got to a level we agreed anyway.
Apart from the steak dinner and gravy, yeah?
Who has gravy on steak dinner? You and Henry.
Down here for the first time, and we've blown a lot of people away this week on the Super Series.
Myself included. It's absolutely brilliant. It exceeded my expectations, and I'm sure everyone at home didn't expect this. A lot of people didn't know this was coming as well. There was little teasers out there, but a lot of people started to get used to the studio sort of environment. The evolution of this moving into this venue, the structure of it, the grade of things like the lights, the system and everything that is in there. When this starts to get out there and we start to see a crowd coming in on those Saturday nights as well, this place could be rocking. This is prime for a great atmosphere in there. The room and everything that is in there is set up to really excel this.
Well, I'm amazed it got kept quiet for so long, because obviously you players knew what you were playing for in advance, even though you were all sworn to secrecy, but things still get out. So I was amazed that it was still a surprise come Saturday when the announcement came that you guys are now playing for over £1 million a year at the Super Series.
Which, cast your mind back pre-COVID, was absolutely unthinkable. What did we have pre-COVID as a dart player? You was a tour card holder, or we didn't really know what was going on with the BDO at the time. Might there be a World Championship? Might there not be? We saw what happened with Wayne Warren. We didn't know as a dart player, which made the PDC the be-all and end-all to every single dart player. If you wasn't in the PDC, who knows what would have happened with your career? This changes the ballgame.
On that, there's been a lot of buzz around, and I know we spoke probably back in April, somewhere around there, and it was all, there's never been a better time to be a dart player outside the PDC. But this goes one step further now. Players can genuinely make a living by avoiding going to the PDC.
True. Casting case. I've sat in the PDC since 2011. So I've been around the PDC, I saw the evolution of that and everything that's going on there. Sat around that world number 60 mark for around about 4 years or so. Lost that this year, and it's not really affected the income side of things because of everything else that is going on outside of darts, outside of the PDC, and this has just changed the landscape of darts.
Has this changed your thinking on your career as well?
It has, definitely. So, I said the PDC is the be-all and end-all for most players. The PDC is the place to be. It's the very top, it's the pinnacle. But what this does now is this allows a platform for those players who are up there but not pushing those top 32 places, just to reevaluate and look at what they're doing. I look at a guy in wrestling. Most of my things are compared to wrestling.
Oh, school. Go on, sorry.
Cool. I look at wrestling. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes for me has a journey that very much maps what could be achievable in darts at the moment. He was at the very best, he was at the WWE, but he couldn't quite get himself into that main event picture. He sat around the mid-card and he decided to go off and do his own thing. And he went off to heal mentally, heal physically, go and do his own thing, be who he wanted to be, and now he's come back and he's a star. He's gone away and he's learned his trade. He's gone away and he's applied it in different environments, become a better player for it. One of the things we get used to with the PDC is everything being absolutely pristine. The boards are absolutely perfect, everything is bang on, everything runs to a time and a schedule, and you end up getting into that clock of things, which can also be a bad thing, because if you start taking a couple of first round defeats, when you start having a bit of a run in a tournament, you're not used to that multiple games in a day, and what we tend to see is those players that start having a bit of a run, all of a sudden, bang, they're throwing like an 80 average, and they crash out last 16. Where's that come? It's been great all day. we've probably not had that where he's playing multiple games in a day or he's playing for 3-4 hours of competitive darts. And I think sometimes it's good to step back and try and learn that, because we're not trying to win a match in the PDC, we're trying to win a tournament. And when you lose sight of trying to win tournaments, maybe that's a good sight to step back and go, I need to get back to winning titles, which we've seen many players do successfully and come back on the back of that.
I suppose right now the question is for you more than anything. QSchool is on the horizon now. There's buzz and there's chat around it on social media. With the current rules, as we film this, the current rules as they are, I know things can change. Are you going to go to QSchool? Because as a player, if you get that golden ticket, as it's been dubbed, you have to give a lot away now.
I've put myself in a position where I've got a lot of opportunity outside of the PDC, and as it stands, as of filming this, no, I will not be at QSchool next year. I will, and that's, if everything stays as it is, that's 100%. I will not be at QSchool next year. There is a lot of opportunities now outside, and look at Cody Rhodes' story. I can go and I can try these other systems, experience new things in darts, new countries, new venues. Bit of a refresher. It'll be good for the mind, it'll be good for the body. I've made no secret over the years that I am riddled with injuries. Made some terrible decisions when I was younger, decided to go wrestling, boxing, MMA. We're not a fully developed body. I decided to lift weights from a young age. It wasn't good management of the body, because when you're young you don't think about what life's like when you're 36. And I'm only 36, but yeah, I've got all these injuries, and I look at that and I can go and I can heal physically. I can repair and reset mentally, and the plan at the moment is QSchool will be 2024 at the earliest for me.
I suppose the big thing about playing here compared to the PDC, and it's been brought up a lot, and in other sports as well, is you don't get any money if you don't win. Which I'm not sure is right, because as a tour card holder, you've earned the right to be there, you've won that card. But then to get nothing for a first round win, where coming here, okay, not everyone can win the weekly 5,000 or the Champions Week 20,000, but you're still paid to play darts, and you're then providing for your family by just playing.
And that's the bit where people might, when they hear this, be like, why on earth are you not going to QSchool? But there's so much more to it. Having that little bit of security behind you as well is a nice thing to have. Like I say, you get guaranteed. We're going to be playing, if you look at that Champions winner, if you add in the £5,000, that's £25,000. And we're going to be doing that multiple times a year. That is the prize fund for the third round of the World Championships. Realistically, when I look at it at the moment, and I look at the averages and the ceilings that I can certainly produce, my real target would be, can I make the third round of the World Championship? That is qualifying, beating the non-seed, and then beating the seed. Then realistically, it's going to get
You're going to run into someone in the top 32, top 16.
It's going to get brutal. If you don't run into the top 16 by then, you're going to win the third round, unless things open up a little bit for you. But still, you're going to play the guy that put that person out. So realistically, that would be the ceiling if we was going to map it out. But to get to the World Championship, first of all, I've got to go through the seeding system of the top 32 players in the first or the second round anyway. And I think financially, at the moment, it's far more viable to be outside of the PDC for someone of my ability range than inside the PDC, unless things change, which we might have got a little insight to.
Well, that brings me on to my next question. We've seen World Snooker do something similar now, where there is money guaranteed. Do you feel darts has to go down that route as well and change its mentality? One, for the good of the sport, and two, if they don't, do you feel they will lose players? And what I mean by that is, one, players not going to QSchool like yourself. Two, current players actually thinking, do I want this tour card, and do I hand it back?
Yes to all of that. I think everything you said there is yes. I think the first thing you said was they have to. Yes. They have to. The cost of living crisis is real. And the one thing you can't do is not guarantee a professional an income. But yet, there's little tweaks that need to come. First thing you get when you get through QSchool is an invoice. Congratulations, you've got through, you owe us the top-up fees. That's the first thing. Then the next thing is the events start coming thick and fast, which, depending on your location, can get very expensive. So when we look at that system that's in place at the moment, there needs to be some sort of guarantee, because what's going to happen is people are still going to go to work, and then they'll get the tour card, they'll get to work, they can't commit to the practice and the routines, or they can't commit to making every single event. We saw this with some of the Europeans. There was Robert Marjanovic during the COVID times. It would, with the extra testing and things, he would have needed 3-4 weeks off work to come over and play 5 Pro Tour events. And he's like, am I going to earn more in 5 Pro Tour events than I'm going to earn in that amount of time? We saw with Josh Rock, and we saw that interview with Barry Hearn, and he mentioned that, it was a bad decision for Josh Rock not to go to the Pro Tour in Germany for the 2 days, but to Josh Rock at that time, even with the incredible ceiling he's showing, he's one of the best players in the world on stats by the Pro Tour, but he didn't even have that confidence to say, I'm not going to work, I'm not going to the Pro Tour, I'm going to go to work, because that's safe. And I think until the players have got that little bit of safety, I know there's that meritocracy and you reward winners, but isn't winning a tour card winning?
Yeah.
And that's kind of essentially, when you've got a tour card, that is the stamp of saying you are one of the best 128 players in the world. You are a professional. And I think until that is fully, I think what we've probably got at the moment, about 50 professionals on the Pro Tour. You know, we've seen people just come on and they go and they're on and off the tour. Most of the time it's because they've got these full-time roles behind what they're doing, and we used to call them weekend warriors in the wrestling, when they'd have a full-time job and at the weekend they'd go and they'd do the shows. We've got to get away from that now. If we want a fully professional sport, we need more professional players, and darts has always followed suit of the snooker. The snooker came first. They got rid of the entry fees, darts followed. Could be a situation now where darts is going to follow that same pattern. And like I said, the cost of living crisis is real, and we will see, like you've said, players really evaluate, do I really want to... The opportunity is amazing, but not everyone can have that opportunity. There's only so many spaces at the top. Some people have to miss out. And do you take the risk to be one of those people that miss out, or do you come somewhere like here and play for £25,000?
Before, it was always the amateur side of the game clamouring to get that tour card. We saw up until, I think, 2014, maybe 15, that the lakeside semi-finalists were offered tour cards to entice them over. It would be quite a big statement for roles to be reversed, that a PDC player handed back his card and said, I want to go and play elsewhere. That's a big statement.
I think we're going to see it. I do think we're going to see it. When you've got 128 players, 128 different stories, we don't know what the backstory is and what's going on behind these players and what their behind closed doors life is like. Families need providing for. Bills need paying. Bills are going up all the time. And if financially the decision is, my ability range will benefit me more in a different pool, or I've got more opportunity in this other pool. If the only thing you can play in is these ranked events, and you don't get in those European Tour events, you're in a long time before you've got another opportunity, sometimes 6-7 weeks, because of how the calendar comes through. We look at the back end of the year now, and we've got, 2-3 weekends left?
Yeah, something like that. It's not a lot.
And that will lead you all the way through then, with the majors, up to about February next year. What are you going to do in that time? So, I know what I'm going to do in that time. As a non-tour card holder, I'm going to be playing in this. I'm going to be going to any tournament I want to go in, anywhere in the world. And it's those restrictions at the moment just need reviewing, I think.
On the amateur side of the game, obviously I know you follow darts massively as well.
Everything, yeah.
The ADC have done some really nice things, and their stuff looks good, but a little bit of a blow. They cancelled or postponed the World Open, and one, actually quite like the decision, the fact that they've been honest, the communication's been good. It's like, look, the cost of living crisis, people can't afford to come and do this at the moment, so we're just going to pull back. It's not going away, but we just want to do this right.
Yeah.
Communication, phenomenal. But then flip the coin, we're seeing a lot of grumblings on social media from the WDF about the radio silence. You've got players that have qualified for the Masters that's in December, or on the calendar for December, no details.
Yeah.
And more worryingly, the World Championships, they don't know time, venue, what they're playing for. So a bit of a concern at the moment.
It is looking forward, because personally that's something I'm looking at as a route for next year. That WDF World Championship is, I don't want to go through the Christmas period not playing darts. I'm a darts fan, I want to be involved in this time of things. And that's not going to be within the PDC for the next couple of years. So logically, my brain goes WDF World Championship. So I'd like to see that come through the way we'd hope to. And I'd like to see that Lakeside. Iconic venue. I'd love to see that. I'd love to go there and experience that. As every dart player, probably around my era and definitely before, would want to play at Lakeside. So I'd absolutely love to do that, and yeah, I'd like to see something come through in regards to a definite plan, because I think players on this system have been burnt before, and I think they're a little bit scared that it's going to happen again.
Well, in the last couple of weeks, again, when we're filming this, we're talking on the last few weeks, there's been a definite mumbling on social of unhappy players, just lack of information. And although the ADC, again, they postponed stuff, at least the information has been out there, so the players know what's going on. And a lot of people are saying, look, the WF, just tell us, we just want to know. If it's not happening in January, just tell us.
And that kind of tells you everything you need to know. The WWF is an extremely well supported by a loyal group of players. And that's because of the history and the prestige that the events that they've got have carried for over the years. They are heavily respected on that side of things. So they've got the backing, they've got the support, they've got the players and the loyalty. I went to the Dutch Open and there was a couple of thousand players.
That's huge.
Just there chasing points, and the atmosphere in there was incredible. So yeah, it would be good if those loyal supporters was rewarded.
My absolute pleasure catching up with you here. I know you were going ready. I'm going to take a break before the evening session, mate, so massively appreciate your time as always.
No problem, thank you.